Forgiveness. Forgiveness is excusing someone who has offended us and showing him or her mercy. Forgiving is accepting the weakness of others and understanding them. Forgiveness calls for forgetting, for, unless we are prepared to forget, we cannot truly forgive. It is difficult to forgive. It is a quality of God. He sends rain and sunshine on the good and the bad alike. It is because God forgives the sinners. When we forgive, we practice God's way. Forgiving makes us happy. We clear the burden in our heart. It also makes the receivers of forgiveness happy. It makes the world a friendlier place. It reduces the sufferings of everyone. In order to forgive, one has to have a large heart. Only a very generous person can truly forgive and forget. Pride is a great stumbling block in this great act of mercy. If we think of our own weaknesses and the great need of forgiveness, we will certainly forgive the little lapses of others. What will be our condition if God Almighty does not forgive us the tremendous amount of sins we commit against Him every day? Every one of us commits sins, makes mistakes, does wrong things and offends others. We expect them to understand us and to forgive us. We expect God to forgive us. When we are forgiven, we feel happy. If we are not forgiven, we feel upset, disturbed and unhappy. The same applies to others. If we forgive them, their lapses, their mistakes, and their sins against us, they feel happy. Certainly, if we fail to forgive others, we make them unhappy. Forgiveness goes hand in hand with forgetting. It is wrong to say that we forgive when we fail to forget. The forgiveness calls for wiping out the incident from the mind. It is good to ask for forgiveness if any wrong is committed or thought to be committed. It makes one realize the mistakes and exposes the great virtue of humanity which will lead to reconciliation. David, a clerk in a company, went to his general manager and borrowed 50,000 rupees. He said that he would return the money in 6 months. After about 3 months, David's peon asked him for a loan of 500 rupees. He got the money and promised to return it within 3 months. When the period of 6 months was over, David was not in a position to return the money to the general manager, and he went and requested for an extension of the period by another 2 months. The general manager was kind enough to grant the extension. As he came out of the office, he met the peon waiting for him. He asked another 2 weeks' time. David got angry and slapped him. He even filed a suit against him, for he was not prepared to listen to excuses. The poor peon was arrested and jailed for cheating. The general manager came to know about it and asked the clerk an explanation. He had none to give. He put his head down in shame. He expected forgiveness for his lapses or mistakes, but was not prepared to forgive others. We all are familiar with the story of Antonio and Shylock. Antonio had borrowed some money from Shylock in order to help his friend Bassanio. Antonio was a leading businessman and expected to give the money back within a short time. He made a bond with Shylock that he would give a pound of his flesh if he failed to return the money within the promised period. Unfortunately, Antonio's business failed, and Shylock insisted to take the pound of flesh. The Duke, before whom the case was placed, requested Shylock to forgive Antonio, but Shylock refused to do so. The judge who came to decide the case also requested Shylock to be kind and to forgive. However, Shylock was adamant and called for his pound of F1 ash, putting Antonio's life in danger. The story tells us how finally Shylock himself suffered because he refused to show mercy and to forgive.